Today we learn about one of the most enigmatic and influential kings in world history. A king who would go on to unite Great Britain and transform the course of its destiny. James VI of Scotland and First of England, a monarch whose vision and tenacity bridged the centuries-old divide between Scotland and England, laid the foundation for the modern United Kingdom. From his turbulent childhood as the heir to the Scottish throne to his ambitious rule over a united British Isles, James's story is one of intellectual brilliance, political acumen, and relentless pursuit of unity. As we delve into his life, we'll explore how he navigated the treacherous waters of dynastic intrigue, championed the creation of the iconic King James Bible, and grappled with the complexities of integrating Ireland into his vision of a cohesive realm. Join us as we unravel the legacy of a king whose dream of a unified Britain left an indelible mark on history and continues to influence our world today. Birth and early life. James VI of Scotland, who would later become James I of England, was born on June 19, 1566, in Edinburgh Castle. His birth was significant not just for Scotland, but for the future of the British Isles. As the only son of Mary, Queen of Scots, and Henry Stuart, Lord Darnley, James was heir to a powerful lineage. His grandmother, Margaret Tudor, was the sister of Henry VIII of England, linking him directly to the English throne. From his first breath, James was thrust into a world of dynastic intrigue and immense expectation. His early years were marked by turbulence and tragedy. Just months after his birth, his father, Lord Darnley, was murdered under mysterious circumstances, and his mother, Mary, was forced to abdicate the throne. At just 13 months old, James was proclaimed King of Scotland on July 24, 1567. The infant king's early life was dominated by the regencies that ruled in his name, and he was quickly separated from his mother, who fled to England seeking the protection of her cousin, Elizabeth I. As James grew, his guardians ensured that he received a comprehensive education, befitting a king who was expected to rule not just Scotland, but potentially other kingdoms as well. He was taught by George Buchanan, a leading humanist scholar of the time, who instilled in James a deep appreciation for literature, philosophy, and governance. This rigorous intellectual upbringing shaped James into a thoughtful and erudite monarch, known for his writings and his fascination with the divine right of kings. Despite the political instability that surrounded his early years, James's childhood was also a time of relative personal security. He was kept safe within the fortified walls of Stirling Castle and surrounded by loyal courtiers who ensured his well-being. These early experiences, however, taught him valuable lessons about power, loyalty, and the precarious nature of kingship. They also laid the foundation for his later efforts to assert his authority and bring stability to his realm. The early loss of his parents and the subsequent distance from his mother left an indelible mark on James. While he maintained a sense of duty and respect towards Mary, he grew to view her more as a cautionary tale of the dangers of political and personal indiscretion. This complex relationship with his mother influenced his later approach to rule and his cautious, often conservative, political strategies. James's early life was a crucible of experiences that would profoundly shape his reign and his vision for a united Britain. Becoming King of Scotland 1567. When Mary, Queen of Scots, was forced to abdicate in favour of her infant son James in 1567, Scotland entered a new era. The young king's coronation was a hurried affair, conducted with all the urgency of political necessity. Held at the Church of the Holy Rood in Stirling, the ceremony marked the beginning of James's reign, even though he was far too young to comprehend his role or responsibilities. His mother's deposition and subsequent imprisonment set a somber tone for his early years as king. The practical governance of Scotland fell to a series of regents who ruled in James's stead. These regents included his uncle, the Earl of Moray, and later, the Earl of Morton. Their regencies were times of significant political upheaval and conflict. Scotland was torn between factions loyal to the young king and those who still supported Mary. This period saw continuous power struggles, rebellions, and even foreign intervention as the regents sought to stabilize the kingdom and secure James's position. Despite the tumultuous political environment, James's regents were able to maintain relative stability and ensure that the young king was well protected. They focused on consolidating the power of the monarchy and navigating the complex web of Scottish nobility. Their efforts were crucial in preparing the kingdom for James's eventual assumption of full authority. Meanwhile, James's education continued under the guidance of George Buchanan, who instilled in him a deep understanding of governance, history, and the responsibilities of kingship. The Regency period was also marked by significant religious strife. Scotland was undergoing the Reformation, and tensions between Protestant reformers and Catholic loyalists were high. The regents were generally supportive of the Protestant cause, which influenced James's own religious policies later in life. These early experiences with religious conflict would shape his approach to church governance and his efforts to promote religious unity across his realms. As James grew older, he became increasingly aware of the complexities of his position and the challenges he would face as a ruler. By observing the regents and the intricate workings of Scottish politics, he learned valuable lessons about power, diplomacy, and the art of compromise. These lessons would serve him well when he finally took control of his kingdom and began to navigate the broader political landscape of Britain and Europe. Regencies and early reign 1567 to 1583. During James's minority, Scotland was governed by a series of regents who played pivotal roles in the kingdom's administration and politics. The first regent was James's uncle, the Earl of Moray, who was assassinated in 1570. Plunging Scotland into further turmoil. His assassination was a stark reminder of the dangers that lay in the shadows of political power. Following Moray's death, a succession of regents, including the Earl of Lennox, the Earl of Mar, and the Earl of Morton, took turns in managing the kingdom's affairs. Each regent faced significant challenges in maintaining order and stability in a deeply divided Scotland. The country was rife with factionalism, and loyalty to the young king was often tenuous. The regents had to navigate the treacherous waters of Scottish noble politics, balancing the interests of various powerful families while trying to maintain control over the kingdom. This period was marked by continuous skirmishes, shifting alliances, and the constant threat of rebellion. The Earl of Morton, who served as regent from 1572 to 1578, was particularly effective in consolidating royal authority and restoring some measure of order to Scotland. Under his leadership, the kingdom saw a period of relative stability, which allowed for the young king to continue his education and development. Morton's regency ended when he was overthrown by a faction of nobles, highlighting the fragile nature of power during this turbulent time. James's own coming of age was a turning point for Scotland. In 1583, at the age of 17, he began to assert his independence and take on the responsibilities of kingship. His early reign was characterized by a careful balancing act as he sought to assert his authority while managing the powerful and often unruly Scottish nobility. James's keen intelligence and diplomatic skills became increasingly apparent as he navigated the complexities of his kingdom. During these formative years, James also developed his views on monarchy and governance, heavily influenced by his education and the tumultuous political environment of his youth. He became a firm believer in the divine right of kings, the idea that monarchs were appointed by God and accountable only to him. This belief would underpin his approach to rule and his efforts to centralize authority, not just in Scotland, but eventually across all his realms. Personal rule begins 1583. James's personal rule officially began in 1583, when he successfully took control of the Scottish government at the age of 17. This transition marked the end of regency and the beginning of a new chapter in Scottish history. His early years of direct rule were focused on stabilizing his kingdom and asserting his authority over the nobility who had grown accustomed to significant autonomy during his minority. James's first task was to establish his dominance and secure the loyalty of his subjects. James's approach to governance was characterized by a blend of pragmatism and idealism. He sought to strengthen the monarchy by centralizing power and reducing the influence of the feuding noble factions. He moved quickly to surround himself with loyal advisors and capable administrators, thereby creating a more cohesive and effective government. This period saw the young king taking bold steps to assert his control and bring about a semblance of order and stability to a kingdom that had been in constant flux. One of James's early challenges was dealing with a powerful Presbyterian kirk. The Scottish Church was deeply intertwined with the politics of the realm, and its leaders often clashed with the monarchy over issues of governance and religious authority. James navigated these waters with care, seeking to assert his own authority over the Church while avoiding outright confrontation. His ultimate goal was to create a more unified and controlled religious environment, which he believed was essential for the stability and prosperity of his kingdom. James also demonstrated a keen interest in fostering cultural and intellectual growth within his kingdom. He patronized the arts and encouraged the spread of education, seeing these as vital components of a strong and enlightened monarchy. His reign saw a flowering of Scottish culture and learning, as James supported the establishment of schools and the promotion of the Scots language. These efforts were part of his broader vision to elevate his kingdom and lay the foundations for a more unified British identity. Throughout these early years of personal rule, James's character and abilities as a monarch became increasingly evident. He was a man of deep intellectual curiosity, with a profound belief in his divine right to rule. Yet, he was also a pragmatic ruler who understood the complexities of power and the need for compromise. These qualities would serve him well as he navigated the challenges of his reign and laid the groundwork for his later efforts to unify the British Isles. Marriage to Anne of Denmark, 1589. In 1589, James married Anne of Denmark, a union that was both a personal and political milestone. The marriage was part of a broader strategy to strengthen alliances and secure his position in Europe. Anne, the daughter of King Frederick II of Denmark, brought with her the promise of closer ties with one of Europe's significant maritime powers. The marriage negotiations were lengthy and complex, reflecting the importance of this union to James's broader political objectives. The wedding itself was an adventure. Due to adverse weather conditions, Anne's initial voyage to Scotland was thwarted, and she ended up stranded in Norway. Determined to fetch his bride himself, James embarked on a perilous journey across the North Sea. This bold and romantic gesture endeared him to his new queen and to his subjects. James and Anne were married in a modest ceremony in Oslo, and then returned to Scotland for a more formal celebration. Anne's arrival in Scotland marked the beginning of a partnership that would span over 3 decades. While their marriage was not without its challenges, it was fundamentally stable and supportive. Anne was a cultured and intelligent woman who shared James's love of the arts and learning. She played a significant role in the cultural life of the court and was a patron of the arts, helping to foster a vibrant cultural environment in Scotland and later in England. The marriage also brought political benefits. It strengthened James's position domestically and internationally, as it was seen as a successful alliance with a powerful and influential European monarchy. Anne's presence helped to stabilize the royal court and provided a sense of continuity and legitimacy to James's rule. Their children would become key figures in the Stuart dynasty, further cementing the union between Scotland and England. Anne's influence on James was profound. She provided him with personal support and companionship, and their relationship was marked by mutual respect and affection. Her contributions to the cultural and political life of the kingdom were significant, and she played a vital role in supporting James's vision of a unified British Isles. Together, they represented a new era of stability and cultural flourishing that would leave a lasting legacy on both Scotland and England. The Golden Age of Scotland, 1590s. The 1590s are often regarded as a golden age for Scotland under James's rule. During this decade, Scotland experienced a period of relative peace and prosperity, with significant advancements in culture, education, and governance. James's efforts to strengthen the monarchy and promote intellectual and cultural development began to bear fruit, creating a more stable and prosperous kingdom. One of James's key achievements during this period was his support for education and learning. He was a patron of the arts and a keen intellectual, and he sought to foster a similar spirit of learning and inquiry throughout his kingdom. He promoted the establishment of schools and encouraged the spread of the Scots language, believing that an educated populace was essential for the stability and prosperity of the realm. This focus on education helped to elevate the cultural and intellectual life of Scotland and laid the foundations for future generations. James's reign also saw significant advancements in the arts and literature. He supported the work of poets, playwrights, and musicians, creating a vibrant cultural environment in Scotland. His own writings, including works on kingship and governance, were widely read and respected. James's interest in the arts extended to his court, where he fostered a culture of learning and artistic expression. This cultural flourishing was a testament to his vision of a united and enlightened kingdom. Politically, the 1590s were a time of consolidation and strengthening for James's rule. He worked to centralise authority and reduce the influence of the noble factions that had dominated Scottish politics during his minority. He pursued policies aimed at promoting peace and stability, both within Scotland and in its relations with neighbouring countries. His efforts to create a more cohesive and effective government were crucial in laying the groundwork for his later efforts to unify the British Isles. This period of relative peace and prosperity was a testament to James's abilities as a ruler and his vision for his kingdom. He was able to navigate the complex political landscape of Scotland, balancing the interests of various factions while promoting his own vision of a strong and unified monarchy. The golden age of the 1590s was a time when Scotland began to emerge as a more stable and prosperous kingdom, setting the stage for James's later achievements as a ruler of both Scotland and England. Interest in English succession 1601. As the 1590s drew to a close, James's attention increasingly turned towards the English throne. Elizabeth I of England, known as the Virgin Queen, had no direct heir, and her reign was nearing its end. James, with his royal lineage linking him to both the Scottish and English thrones, saw an opportunity to unite the two kingdoms under his rule. His great-grandmother, Margaret Tudor, was the sister of Henry VIII, making him a legitimate contender for the English crown. James began to position himself as a potential successor to Elizabeth, engaging in careful diplomacy and building support among influential figures in England. He corresponded with key English nobles and courtiers, presenting himself as a stable and capable ruler who could bring continuity and unity to the British Isles. His efforts were marked by a careful balancing act, as he sought to avoid alienating Elizabeth while simultaneously securing his claim to her throne. The possibility of uniting England and Scotland under a single monarch was a tantalising prospect for James. He envisioned a unified British kingdom that would be stronger and more prosperous, capable of wielding greater influence on the European stage. This vision of unity was deeply rooted in his belief in the divine right of kings and his desire to create a more cohesive and harmonious realm. James's diplomatic efforts were aimed at laying the groundwork for this grand vision. In 1601, as Elizabeth's health began to decline, the question of succession became increasingly urgent. James intensified his efforts to secure his position, reaching out to key figures in the English court and gaining their support. His diplomatic skills and careful negotiations paid off, as he was able to build a broad coalition of support for his claim. By the time of Elizabeth's death in 1603, James was widely recognised as the most likely successor to the English throne. James's preparations for the English succession were a testament to his strategic acumen and his ability to navigate the complex political landscape of the time. His careful diplomacy and persuasive efforts to build support among English nobles were crucial in securing his claim to the throne. This period of strategic positioning and negotiation laid the foundation for the historic union of the crowns that would follow, bringing James's vision of a unified British kingdom one step closer to reality. Death of Elizabeth I and James's accession 1603. On March 24, 1603, Elizabeth I of England passed away, bringing an end to her long and illustrious reign. Her death marked a turning point in the history of the British Isles, as James VI of Scotland was proclaimed James I of England the very next day. This historic event, known as the Union of the Crowns, saw the two kingdoms of England and Scotland united under a single monarch for the first time. It was a momentous occasion that set the stage for a new era of British history. James's accession to the English throne was met with widespread acceptance and enthusiasm. As he travelled south to London, he was greeted with great fanfare and celebration. The English people, who had long anticipated the succession, welcomed their new king with open arms. James's arrival in London marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of both England and Scotland, as he assumed the mantle of leadership over two distinct but closely linked kingdoms. The union of the crowns was more than just a symbolic event. It had profound political and cultural implications for both England and Scotland. Under James's rule, the two kingdoms remained legally separate, each with its own parliament and legal system. However, the union of the crowns laid the foundation for greater political and economic integration in the years to come. James's vision of a unified British kingdom began to take shape, as he sought to bring about closer ties between his two realms. James's new role as King of both England and Scotland presented him with significant challenges. He had to navigate the complex political landscape of his new kingdom while maintaining stability and control in Scotland. His dual monarchy required careful balancing and diplomacy, as he worked to manage the differing interests and concerns of his English and Scottish subjects. James's ability to navigate these challenges was a testament to his skill as a ruler and his commitment to his vision of unity. The union of the crowns was a landmark achievement in James's reign, representing the realization of his long-held ambition to unite the British Isles under a single monarch. It was a moment of triumph that set the stage for his later efforts to promote greater political and cultural integration between England and Scotland. James's accession to the English throne was a pivotal moment in British history, marking the beginning of a new era of unity and cooperation between the two kingdoms. The Union of the Crowns 1603. The Union of the Crowns in 1603 was a defining moment in the history of the British Isles. With James's accession to the English throne, the crowns of England and Scotland were united under a single monarch for the first time. This historic event marked the beginning of a new era of closer ties and cooperation between the two kingdoms. While England and Scotland remained legally separate entities, the union of the crowns laid the foundation for future efforts towards greater political and economic integration. James's vision for the union went beyond mere symbolism. He sought to create a more unified and cohesive British kingdom that could wield greater influence on the European stage. His ambition was to bring about a closer alignment of the political, legal, and economic systems of England and Scotland, fostering a sense of shared identity and purpose among his subjects. This vision of unity was rooted in his belief in the divine right of kings and his desire to create a more stable and prosperous realm. The union of the crowns presented both opportunities and challenges for James. On one hand, it allowed him to strengthen his position as a monarch and consolidate his authority over two powerful kingdoms. On the other hand, it required him to navigate the complex political landscapes of both England and Scotland, each with its own distinct traditions and interests. James's ability to manage these challenges and promote his vision of unity was a testament to his skill as a ruler and his commitment to his long-term goals. James's efforts to promote closer ties between England and Scotland included initiatives to harmonise their legal and economic systems. He encouraged trade and commerce between the two kingdoms and sought to create a more integrated and efficient administrative framework. These efforts were aimed at fostering a sense of shared destiny and mutual benefit, laying the groundwork for future political and economic integration. James's vision of a united British kingdom was not without its obstacles, but his determination and strategic acumen helped to bring about significant progress towards this goal. The union of the crowns was a significant achievement in James's reign, representing the realization of his long-held ambition to unite the British Isles under a single monarch. It was a moment of triumph that set the stage for his later efforts to promote greater political and cultural integration between England and Scotland. James's accession to the English throne was a pivotal moment in British history, marking the beginning of a new era of unity and cooperation between the two kingdoms. First entry into England 1603. James's first entry into England as its king was a momentous occasion, filled with pomp and celebration. In April 1603, he made his journey south from Edinburgh to London, greeted by enthusiastic crowds and elaborate ceremonies along the way. His arrival in London was marked by a grand procession through the city, where he was welcomed with great fanfare and acclaim. The English people were eager to embrace their new monarch, and James's entry into the capital was a triumphant beginning to his reign in England. James's journey to London was not just a ceremonial affair. It was also a political and diplomatic mission. He took the opportunity to meet with key figures in the English court and establish his authority as the new king. His entry into England was carefully managed to convey a sense of continuity and stability, reassuring his new subjects that he was a capable and legitimate ruler. James's ability to navigate this transition smoothly was crucial in securing his position and building support for his reign. The reception James received in England was a reflection of the anticipation and optimism that surrounded his accession. After the long and uncertain end of Elizabeth's reign, the English people were ready for a new era of stability and prosperity. James's arrival was seen as a fresh start, and his reputation as a learned and experienced ruler gave hope for a bright future. His first months in England were marked by a sense of renewal and excitement, as he began to put his own stamp on the kingdom. James's initial actions as King of England were aimed at consolidating his authority and promoting his vision of unity. He moved quickly to establish his court and government, appointing loyal and capable advisors to key positions. He also sought to foster closer ties between England and Scotland, encouraging trade and cultural exchange between the two kingdoms. James's early efforts to promote unity and cooperation set the tone for his reign and laid the foundations for his later achievements. The significance of James's first entry into England went beyond the immediate celebrations and ceremonies. It marked the beginning of a new era in the history of the British Isles, as England and Scotland came under the rule of a single monarch. James's journey to London was a symbolic moment that heralded the start of his efforts to create a more unified and integrated British kingdom. It was a testament to his vision and determination, setting the stage for the challenges and triumphs that would define his reign. Assuming control of Ireland 1603. When James ascended to the English throne in 1603, he also inherited the complex and turbulent Kingdom of Ireland. Although the English crown had claimed sovereignty over Ireland since the 12th century, real control had often been limited and contested. James's accession presented an opportunity to consolidate English authority in Ireland and integrate it more closely into his vision for a unified British Isles. His approach to ruling Ireland was shaped by both his desire for stability and his broader strategy of promoting unity and centralisation. James's policies in Ireland were aimed at strengthening English control and promoting Protestant settlement. One of his significant initiatives was the Plantation of Ulster, which began in 1606. This programme encouraged English and Scottish Protestants to settle in the northern region of Ireland, with the goal of establishing a loyal and economically productive population. The plantation was seen as a way to reduce the influence of the native Irish and the Catholic Church, which were viewed as sources of resistance to English rule. The Plantation of Ulster had profound and lasting effects on Ireland. It led to significant demographic and social changes, as large numbers of Protestant settlers established new communities in the north. These settlements created a lasting divide between the Protestant and Catholic populations in Ireland, contributing to tensions and conflicts that would persist for centuries. James's efforts to transform Ulster were part of his broader strategy to integrate Ireland more fully into his vision of a united British kingdom. James's rule in Ireland also involved efforts to reform and modernise the administration of the kingdom. He sought to extend English law and governance throughout Ireland, aiming to create a more uniform and efficient system of rule. These efforts included the establishment of new administrative structures and the promotion of English culture and language. While these reforms were intended to bring stability and order to Ireland, they often met with resistance from the native Irish population, who saw them as an imposition of foreign control. The challenges James faced in Ireland were emblematic of the broader difficulties in his quest to unify the British Isles. While he made significant strides in consolidating English authority and promoting Protestant settlement, his policies also sowed the seeds of future conflict and division. James's legacy in Ireland is a complex one, reflecting both his achievements in strengthening English control and the enduring challenges of managing a diverse and contested kingdom. His efforts to integrate Ireland into his vision of a unified British kingdom were a significant part of his broader strategy to bring stability and unity to his realms. Plantation of Ulster 1606. The Plantation of Ulster initiated by James in 1606, was one of the most significant and controversial aspects of his rule in Ireland. This programme aimed to colonise the northern region of Ulster with English and Scottish Protestant settlers, creating a loyal and economically productive population that could serve as a bulwark against native Irish resistance. The plantation was part of James's broader strategy to strengthen English control over Ireland and integrate it more fully into his vision of a unified British kingdom. The Ulster plantation involved the confiscation of vast tracts of land from the native Irish and their redistribution to settlers from England and Scotland. These new settlers were encouraged to establish farms, towns, and industries, transforming the landscape of Ulster and creating a new Protestant community. The plantation was seen as a way to promote economic development and secure English authority in a region that had long been a centre of resistance to English rule. The impact of the Ulster plantation was profound and far-reaching. It led to significant demographic changes, as thousands of Protestant settlers moved into Ulster and established new communities. This influx of settlers created a lasting divide between the Protestant and Catholic populations in the region, contributing to tensions and conflicts that would persist for centuries. The plantation also had significant economic effects, as the new settlers brought with them skills and resources that helped to develop the region's agriculture and industry. James's policies in Ulster were driven by a combination of strategic and ideological considerations. He believed that the establishment of a loyal and productive Protestant population in Ulster was essential for the stability and security of Ireland as a whole. At the same time, he saw the plantation as part of his broader vision for a unified and prosperous British kingdom. By promoting settlement and economic development in Ulster, James hoped to create a model of integration and progress that could be extended to other parts of his realms. The legacy of the Ulster plantation is a complex and contested one. While it succeeded in establishing a strong Protestant presence in Ulster and contributed to the region's economic development, it also sowed the seeds of future conflict and division. The plantation's impact on the social and political landscape of Ireland was profound, creating enduring tensions between the Protestant and Catholic communities. James's efforts to transform Ulster were a significant part of his broader strategy to integrate Ireland into his vision of a unified British kingdom. But they also highlighted the challenges and complexities of achieving that vision. Efforts to form a political union 1604 to 1607. From 1604 onwards, James pursued his ambitious goal of uniting England and Scotland into a single political entity called Great Britain. He believed that such a union would bring greater strength, stability, and prosperity to the British Isles. James's vision was rooted in his belief in the divine right of kings and his desire to create a more cohesive and unified kingdom. He argued that a united Britain would be better equipped to defend itself, promote economic growth, and wield influence on the European stage. James's proposal for a political union faced significant resistance from both the English and Scottish Parliament. In 1604, he presented his plan to the English Parliament, but it was met with scepticism and opposition. Many English politicians were wary of the potential loss of their own power and influence, and they questioned the benefits of a formal union with Scotland. Similarly, the Scottish Parliament was reluctant to cede its autonomy and feared being dominated by English interests. Despite these obstacles, James continued to advocate for his vision of a united kingdom. He worked to build support among his subjects and sought to demonstrate the practical benefits of closer ties between England and Scotland. James's efforts included initiatives to harmonise the legal and economic systems of the two kingdoms and promote cultural and social integration. He believed that by fostering greater unity and cooperation, he could overcome the resistance to a formal political union. In 1606, James took a significant step towards his goal by securing the passage of the Union of the Crown's legislation in both the English and Scottish Parliaments. This legislation recognised James as the King of both England and Scotland and established the principle of a single monarch ruling over both kingdoms. While it fell short of creating a fully unified political entity, it was an important milestone in James's efforts to bring the two kingdoms closer together. James's pursuit of a political union was driven by his deep-seated belief in the benefits of unity and his commitment to creating a more stable and prosperous British kingdom. although he faced significant resistance and was unable to achieve a formal union during his lifetime. His efforts laid the groundwork for future integration. The debates and initiatives of James's reign helped to shape the course of British history and set the stage for the eventual creation of the United Kingdom. The Hampton Court Conference 1604. In January 1604, just a year after ascending the English throne, James convened the Hampton Court Conference. This significant event was aimed at addressing growing religious tensions and seeking to promote greater unity within the Church of England. The conference was a response to the Millenary Petition, a document signed by 1,000 Puritan ministers who sought reforms within the Church. James, with his keen interest in religious matters and his vision of a more unified British Church, saw this as an opportunity to address these concerns and assert his authority. The Hampton Court Conference brought together bishops, clergy, and theologians from across the spectrum of the Church of England. James himself took an active role in the discussions, showcasing his deep knowledge of religious and theological issues. The conference covered a range of topics, including church governance, liturgical practices, and the translation of the Bible. James's involvement was not merely ceremonial. He actively engaged in the debates and sought to mediate between the differing factions. One of the most significant outcomes of the Hampton Court Conference was the commissioning of a new translation of the Bible, which would later become known as the King James Bible. This decision was driven by a desire to provide a more accurate and accessible version of the Scriptures that could be used by all English-speaking Christians. The translation project was a monumental undertaking that would have a lasting impact on English-speaking culture and religious life. James's handling of the Hampton Court Conference demonstrated his skill as a mediator and his commitment to promoting religious unity. He sought to address the concerns of the Puritans while maintaining the established structure and practices of the Church of England. His goal was to create a more harmonious and unified church that could serve as a cornerstone of his vision for a united British kingdom. The conference was an important step in his broader efforts to foster greater cohesion and stability within his realms. The Hampton Court Conference also highlighted James's broader approach to governance and his belief in the importance of dialogue and compromise. While he was a firm believer in the divine right of kings, he also recognized the need to address the concerns of his subjects and promote a sense of common purpose. The outcomes of the conference, including the commissioning of the King James Bible, were a testament to his ability to balance differing interests and work towards a more unified and prosperous kingdom. Creation of the King James Bible 1611. One of the most enduring legacies of James's reign was the creation of the King James Bible. Commissioned in 1604 and completed in 1611, this new translation of the Bible was a monumental achievement that had a profound impact on the English-speaking world. James's decision to commission a new translation was driven by his desire to provide a version of the Scriptures that was both accurate and accessible, and that could help to unify the religious life of his kingdom. The translation project was undertaken by a team of over 50 scholars, divided into 6 committees, each responsible for different sections of the Bible. These scholars were drawn from both the Church of England and the Puritan tradition, reflecting James's desire to create a translation that could be accepted by all factions within his realm. The process involved meticulous scholarship and careful comparison of existing translations, with the goal of producing a text that was both faithful to the original languages and resonant with the English-speaking audience. The King James Bible was notable not just for its scholarly rigor, but also for its literary quality. The translators sought to create a text that was both accurate and beautiful, capturing the majesty and power of the Scriptures in the English language. Their work resulted in a translation that was both theologically sound and poetically rich, making it accessible and inspiring to readers from all walks of life. The language of the King James Bible has had a lasting influence on English literature and culture, shaping the way English is spoken and written to this day. The publication of the King James Bible in 1611 was a significant milestone in James's efforts to promote religious unity and cohesion within his kingdom. The new translation was widely adopted and became the standard version of the Bible for English-speaking Christians. Its influence extended far beyond the Church, becoming a cornerstone of English education and culture. The King James Bible helped to foster a sense of shared identity and purpose among James's subjects, contributing to his broader vision of a unified British kingdom. The legacy of the King James Bible is a testament to James's commitment to his vision of unity and his belief in the power of the written word. It remains one of the most widely read and respected translations of the Bible, with a profound impact on religious and cultural life around the world. The creation of the King James Bible was a significant achievement of James's reign, reflecting his dedication to promoting a more unified and harmonious society through the power of language and scripture. Continued push for Union 1610s. Throughout the 1610s, James continued to advocate for a closer political and legal union between England and Scotland. His vision of a unified British kingdom remained a central goal of his reign, and he pursued various initiatives to bring the two kingdoms closer together. Despite the challenges and resistance he faced, James remained committed to his belief that a united Britain would be stronger and more prosperous. One of James's key strategies for promoting union was to encourage economic and commercial ties between England and Scotland. He sought to harmonise the trade policies and economic practices of the two kingdoms, creating a more integrated and efficient marketplace. These efforts included the promotion of joint ventures and the removal of trade barriers, aimed at fostering greater economic interdependence and mutual benefit. James believed that by strengthening the economic ties between his kingdoms, he could create a foundation for closer political and cultural integration. James also pursued initiatives to align the legal and administrative systems of England and Scotland. He worked to create a more uniform legal framework that could facilitate cooperation and reduce conflicts between the two kingdoms. These efforts included the establishment of joint commissions and the promotion of legal reforms that aimed at harmonising the laws and practices of England and Scotland. James's goal was to create a more cohesive and integrated system of governance that could support his vision of a united British kingdom. Culturally, James sought to promote a sense of shared identity and purpose among his subjects. He encouraged the exchange of ideas and cultural practices between England and Scotland, fostering a sense of common heritage and destiny. His patronage of the arts and support for educational initiatives were part of his broader efforts to create a more unified and enlightened society. James believed that by fostering cultural ties and promoting a shared sense of identity, he could overcome the divisions and resistance that stood in the way of political union. Despite his efforts, James faced significant resistance to his plans for union from both the English and Scottish parliaments. Many in England were wary of the potential loss of their own power and influence, while Scottish leaders feared being dominated by English interests. These challenges underscored the complexities and difficulties of achieving James's vision of a united British kingdom. Nevertheless, his continued push for union during the 1610s laid important groundwork for future efforts and highlighted his commitment to his grand vision. James's efforts to promote union during the 1610s were a testament to his determination and strategic vision. While he was unable to achieve a formal political union during his lifetime, his initiatives and policies helped to bring England and Scotland closer together and set the stage for future integration. His commitment to his vision of a unified British kingdom remained a central theme of his reign, reflecting his belief in the benefits of unity and his dedication to creating a more stable and prosperous realm. Political challenges and financial issues 1610s to 1620s. James's reign was marked by significant political challenges and financial difficulties, particularly during the 1610s and 1620s. As he sought to govern two distinct kingdoms and promote his vision of unity, he faced continuous conflicts with the English Parliament over issues of royal prerogative, taxation, and expenditure. These challenges highlighted the complexities of managing a dual monarchy and the delicate balance of power between the Crown and the parliamentary system. One of the central issues during James's reign was his relationship with the English Parliament. James believed in the divine right of kings and sought to assert his authority over the Parliament, which led to frequent clashes over matters of governance and finance. The Parliament, on the other hand, sought to protect its own rights and privileges, pushing back against what they saw as royal overreach. These tensions were exacerbated by James's need for funds to support his expansive vision and the financial pressures of ruling over multiple kingdoms. James's financial difficulties were compounded by the costs of maintaining his court and supporting his various initiatives. His attempts to secure additional revenue through taxation and other means often met with resistance from the Parliament, leading to ongoing disputes and negotiations. The financial strain of managing the affairs of England, Scotland, and Ireland was a significant challenge for James, who struggled to balance the needs of his kingdoms with the realities of his budget. To address these financial issues, James sought alternative sources of revenue, including the sale of monopolies and the imposition of new taxes. These measures were often unpopular and led to further tensions with the Parliament and his subjects. James's financial policies and his handling of parliamentary relations were criticised by many, who saw them as indicative of his inability to manage the complexities of his dual monarchy effectively. Despite these challenges, James remained committed to his vision of a unified British kingdom and continued to pursue his goals of promoting economic and political integration. His efforts to navigate the financial and political challenges of his reign were a testament to his resilience and determination. While his relationship with the English Parliament remained contentious, his ability to manage these difficulties and maintain his authority was crucial in sustaining his broader vision for the British Isles. The Spanish Match Controversy 1620s. In the early 1620s, James sought to secure a marriage alliance between his son, Charles, and the Spanish Infanta, Maria Ana. This proposed union, known as the Spanish Match, was part of James's broader strategy to forge strong alliances with European powers and promote peace and stability across his realms. However, the prospect of a Catholic marriage for the future king of Protestant England sparked intense controversy and opposition, both at home and abroad. The Spanish Match was seen by James as a way to secure a powerful ally in Spain and strengthen his position in Europe. Spain was one of the most powerful and influential nations at the time, and a marriage alliance would have significant diplomatic and strategic benefits. James believed that such a union could help to secure peace and promote closer ties between the Catholic and Protestant worlds. However, the plan was met with deep suspicion and resistance from many in England, who feared the influence of Catholicism and the potential for Spanish dominance. The controversy surrounding the Spanish Match highlighted the deep-seated religious and political tensions within James's kingdom. The prospect of a Catholic queen and the potential influence of Spain on English affairs were deeply unpopular among the Protestant population. The English Parliament, reflecting these concerns, expressed strong opposition to the proposed marriage. The issue became a focal point of political and public debate, further straining James's relations with the Parliament and his subjects. Despite the opposition, James pursued the negotiations with Spain, believing that the benefits of the alliance outweighed the risks. He sent his son, Charles, and his favourite, the Duke of Buckingham, to Spain in an attempt to secure the marriage. This ill-fated mission, known as the Spanish Journey, ended in failure and further inflamed public sentiment against the proposed match. The breakdown of the negotiations and the negative public reaction were significant setbacks for James and his foreign policy ambitions. The Spanish Match controversy had far-reaching implications for James's reign and his legacy. It underscored the challenges of balancing his vision of unity and diplomacy with the realities of religious and political divisions within his kingdom. The failure of the Spanish Match highlighted the limits of James's influence and the deep-seated resistance to his efforts to promote closer ties with Catholic Europe. It was a significant episode in the final years of his reign, reflecting the complexities and challenges of his quest to create a more unified and harmonious British kingdom. Death of Anne of Denmark 1619. In 1619, James suffered a profound personal loss with the death of his beloved wife, Anne of Denmark. Anne's passing marked a period of deep grief and mourning for James, who had relied on her support and companionship throughout their marriage. Their union, which had begun with such promise and adventure, had endured for over 30 years, weathering the challenges of rule and personal life. Anne's death was a significant blow to James, both emotionally and politically. Anne had been a vital presence in James's life and court. As queen consort, she played a significant role in the cultural and social life of the kingdom, patronizing the arts and fostering a vibrant court culture. Her intelligence, grace, and wit made her a beloved figure at court and a supportive partner to James. Her contributions to the cultural and artistic flourishing of the Stuart court were significant, helping to create a rich and dynamic environment that reflected the broader ambitions of James's reign. The death of Anne left James bereft and isolated. Her passing removed a key source of support and stability in his life, at a time when he was already facing significant political and financial challenges. James's grief was profound, and he withdrew from public life for a period, struggling to come to terms with his loss. Anne's death also had political implications, as it weakened James's position at court and removed a vital ally in his efforts to navigate the complexities of his dual monarchy. Anne's passing also marked the end of an era in the cultural and social life of the court. Her patronage of the arts and her support for cultural initiatives had been a vital part of the court's vibrancy and creativity. Without her influence, the court lost some of its dynamism and energy, reflecting the broader sense of loss and transition that accompanied her death. Anne's legacy as a patron of the arts and a cultural leader was a significant part of her contribution to the reign of James. Despite his grief, James continued to govern and pursue his vision for his kingdoms. He remained committed to his goals of promoting unity and stability, even as he faced the personal and political challenges of his later years. The loss of Anne was a profound and lasting sorrow for James, but it also highlighted his resilience and determination in the face of adversity. Her death was a poignant moment in his reign, reflecting the deep personal and emotional dimensions of his life as a monarch. Death and succession 1625. On March 27, 1625, James VI of Scotland and I of England passed away at the age of 58. His death marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter in the history of the British Isles. James's reign had been one of significant achievements and challenges, as he navigated the complexities of ruling over multiple kingdoms and pursued his vision of a unified British kingdom. His passing was a moment of transition, as his son, Charles I, ascended to the throne and inherited his father's mantle. James's death came after a period of declining health and increasing political and financial difficulties. In his final years, he had faced continuous challenges in managing the affairs of his kingdoms and maintaining his vision of unity. Despite these challenges, he remained committed to his goals and continued to work towards promoting greater cohesion and stability within his realms. His death was a significant loss for his subjects, who mourned the passing of a king who had sought to bring them together under a single crown. Charles I, James's son, inherited his father's titles and the complex task of furthering the cause of unification. Charles faced significant challenges in his reign, as he sought to navigate the same political and religious tensions that had marked his father's rule. James's efforts to promote unity and his vision of a unified British kingdom were passed on to his son, who would continue to grapple with the difficulties of managing a dual monarchy and pursuing his father's legacy. The legacy of James VI and I is a complex and multifaceted one. He was a monarch who believed deeply in the divine right of kings and sought to create a more unified and prosperous British kingdom. His efforts to promote cultural, economic, and political integration laid important groundwork for future developments, even as he faced significant resistance and challenges. James's reign was marked by his intellectual curiosity, his commitment to his vision, and his ability to navigate the complexities of his time. James's passing was a moment of reflection and transition, as his subjects looked back on his achievements and forward to the future under his son, Charles. His vision of a unified British kingdom remained a central theme of his legacy, shaping the course of British history and influencing the future direction of the monarchy. James VI and I was a king who sought to bridge the divides of his time and create a more cohesive and harmonious realm, leaving a lasting impact on the history of England, Scotland, and Ireland. As we conclude our journey through the life of James VI of Scotland and I of England, we reflect on his remarkable legacy. His reign was a period of profound transformation and ambition, where his vision of a united Britain began to take shape, despite numerous challenges and opposition. James's pursuit of unity, his promotion of cultural and intellectual growth, and his enduring influence on the political and religious landscape of the British Isles underscore his significance in world history. Through his efforts to bring together Scotland, England, and Ireland under one crown, he set the stage for the future United Kingdom. Thank you for joining us in exploring the life and legacy of this extraordinary monarch. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating historical documentaries.